The great hall of Kepler Station buzzed with voices from dozens of different species. Ambassador Zethkari's scales gleamed under the bright lights as he called the Galactic Council to order. His reptilian eyes swept across the assembled delegates, each representing worlds that spanned half the galaxy. Today, we discuss the historical records of extinct civilizations, Zethkari announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. Many species have risen and fallen before us. It is important to remember them. Commander Thex clicked his mandibles in agreement. The insectoid officer's forearms gestured toward the holographic display. The ancients of Vega Prime, the crystal builders of the Andromeda Rim, all gone now, lost to time and their own mistakes. What about the humans? Asked Minister Yuldena. Her crystalline form sparkled as she spoke. They had a brief moment in galactic affairs, didn't they? Zethkari's throat rumbled with what passed for laughter among his people. Humans. Yes. They tried to join us 300 years ago. Primitive creatures from a death world called Earth. They sent a few ships, made some noise, then disappeared back to their little corner of space. I heard they couldn't handle real diplomacy, Thex added. Too emotional. Too aggressive. Probably destroyed themselves by now. The council members nodded and chuckled. It was easy to forget about humans. They had been so brief, so insignificant. Just another failed species that couldn't adapt to galactic civilization. The massive doors to the chamber suddenly opened. Every head turned to see who would dare interrupt the council session. A figure walked in, moving with calm confidence, despite being alone in a room full of hundreds of aliens. She was human. The woman stood no taller than most species' children. Her skin was dark brown, her hair cut short and practical. She wore simple clothes, not the elaborate robes of diplomacy. In her hand, she carried a small datapad. My name is Dr. Nala Okoye, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber. I represent the human species. I request permission to address this council. The silence stretched for several seconds. Then Zethkari's laughter boomed through the hall. Other council members joined in, the sound building to a roar of amusement. A human, Thex clicked rapidly. How delightful. I thought you were all extinct by now. Dr. Okoye waited patiently for the laughter to die down. Her face showed no emotion, no anger or embarrassment. She simply stood there, waiting. Very well, Zethkari said finally, wiping moisture from his eyes. Let us hear what the last human has to say. This should be entertaining. Dr. Okoye stepped forward. Thank you. I come with a warning about a threat approaching from outside our galaxy. Our long-range sensors have detected... Sensors? Minister Yuldena's crystalline laugh tinkled like breaking glass. What sensors could humans possibly have that we don't? Your technology was barely capable of faster-than-light travel when you left. The threat is real, Doctor. Okoye continued, ignoring the interruption. Something is coming from the void between galaxies. Something that consumes worlds. We have perhaps 50 years before it arrives. Commander Thex stood up, his forearms waving dismissively. Impossible. Our deep space monitoring would have detected any extragalactic approach decades ago. We have sensor networks spanning thousands of light years. Your sensor networks look for known types of ships and energy signatures, Doctor. Okoye replied. This threat uses different technology, different principles. You won't see it coming until it's too late. Zethkari's amusement was fading into annoyance. Human. Your species abandoned galactic civilization 3 centuries ago. You retreated to your primitive world and vanished. What could you possibly know that we don't? Dr. Okoye's eyes hardened slightly. We didn't abandon anything. We prepared. Prepared for what? Yuldena asked mockingly. To hide in your caves until the universe ends? To survive what's coming, Dr. Okoye said simply. And to help others survive it too. The council chamber erupted in more laughter. Several delegates were holding their sides, overcome with mirth at the idea that humans could help anyone survive anything. Admiral Kextor, whose aquatic species communicated through water vibrations, sent ripples of amusement through his tank. The Death World primitives think they can save us all. How precious. Dr. Okoye looked around the chamber one more time. Her expression remained calm, but something in her eyes had changed. Something that made a few of the more observant delegates stop laughing. "You have 50 years," she said. "Maybe less. When your worlds start shaking, when your monitoring stations go dark, when your fleets can't protect you." She paused. "Remember this moment. Remember that we tried to warn you." She turned and walked toward the exit. "Wait," Zethkari called after her. "Where are you going? Surely you want to stay and enjoy more of our hospitality?" Dr. Okoye stopped at the doorway. "Back to work. We have a lot to prepare still." "Prepare for what?" Thex demanded. "What are you humans actually doing out there?" She looked back over her shoulder. "Digging," she said simply. "We're very good at digging." With that, she left. The doors sealed behind her with a solid thunk. The chamber fell quiet for a moment. Then the laughter started again, louder than before. "Digging!" Yuldena gasped between crystal chimes of amusement. "The humans are digging. Like primitive animals making burrows." "Well, that was the most entertainment we've had in years," Zethkari said, settling back into his chair. The trade negotiations with the Centauri Federation won't handle themselves. As the council returned to their normal business, none of them noticed the small readings on their personal data pads. Something big. But they were too busy laughing to pay attention to the warnings their own instruments were trying to give them. 3 days later, the first tremor hit a mining world on the outer rim. Just a small shake, barely noticeable. The local authorities blamed geological instability. They had no idea their world was about to change forever. Admiral Kextor floated in his command tank, watching the holographic display with growing concern. The water around him rippled with nervous energy as more reports flooded in from across the outer rim. "Another one," announced his aide, a young Delphani whose gills fluttered with stress. "Mining world. Zerion 7 reported seismic activity 3 hours ago. That makes 17 worlds in 2 weeks." Minister Yuldena materialized in the tank's communication chamber, her crystalline form refracting the light into worried rainbows. "The patterns don't match any known geological phenomena. These aren't natural earthquakes." Commander Thex's image flickered to life beside her. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he processed data streams from multiple sources. "The vibrations are too regular, too deep. Something is causing these tremors deliberately." Admiral Kextor sent a pulse of sonar through his tank, the aquatic equivalent of a troubled sigh. "Has anyone contacted Ambassador Zethkari about the humans' warning?" "You can't be serious." Yuldena's form sparkled with indignation. That primitive woman was obviously confused. "Humans don't have the technology to monitor intergalactic threats." "Then explain this." Thex transmitted a data burst to their displays. "Our deep space sensors detected massive energy signatures leaving the Sol system 12 days ago. Multiple ships, heading directly toward the affected worlds." The 3 commanders studied the readings in silence. The ships were large, larger than most galactic vessels, but their energy patterns were unlike anything in the current databases. "Ancient technology," Kextor suggested. "Or something completely new." Thex replied grimly. A new alert chimed across their communication network. Scout Captain Rix's avian face appeared on their screens, her feathers ruffled with excitement and fear. "Admirals, I'm sending you live footage from Kepler 438b. You need to see this." The display changed to show the surface of a rocky planet. Mining equipment sat abandoned across the landscape. But that wasn't what made the commanders stare in shock. Huge holes had opened in the ground. Perfectly circular, hundreds of meters wide, going down so deep that the bottom disappeared into darkness. Steam rose from the depths, and the air shimmered with heat. How deep do they go? Yuldena asked, her voice tight with concern. Our sensors can't find the bottom, Rix reported, but we're detecting massive construction activity down there. Metalwork, energy fusion, something building at incredible speed. Building what? Thex demanded. Before Rix could answer, movement caught their attention. Ships were rising from the holes. Not emerging slowly like normal craft, but shooting up like projectiles. Then hovering effortlessly in the air. The ships were human. Impossible, Kextor whispered. Those designs, they're nothing like what humans had before. The human ships moved with precision that made galactic military vessels look clumsy by comparison. They arranged themselves in perfect formation above the holes. Then began some kind of scanning procedure. They're terraforming the planet, Rix said, disbelief clear in her voice. From the inside out. Yuldena's crystalline form flickered with confusion. What does that mean? They're not just digging holes. They're building entire cities underground. Massive ones. And they're reshaping the planet's geology to support them. On the screen, more ships emerged from other holes across the planet's surface. Dozens of them, all moving with the same impossible precision. Open a channel, Admiral Kextor ordered. Static filled the communication array for several moments. Then a voice responded, calm and professional. This is Commander Elena Volkov of the Human Engineering Corps. Please identify yourselves. This is Admiral Kextor of the Galactic Defense Force. You are operating in restricted space without authorization. Explain your presence immediately. A pause. Then, Admiral, we're conducting evacuation preparations for the local population. We strongly recommend you remove your people from this system within 72 hours. Evacuation preparations? Thex's mandibles clicked rapidly. From what threat? From the same threat Dr. Okoye warned your council about 2 weeks ago, Commander Volkov replied. The one you decided didn't exist. Admiral Kextor felt the water around him grow cold. Something that eats planets, Admiral. Something that turns worlds into empty shells. We've been tracking it for 300 years. It'll reach this sector in approximately 49 years. 49 years is a long time to prepare. Yuldena interjected. Not when you're building sanctuary cities for an entire galaxy, Volkov replied simply. The three commanders exchanged glances across their communication links. The implications were staggering. You're saying humans have been preparing to shelter other species? Kextor asked carefully. That's exactly what we're saying. Every world we're modifying can hold approximately 50 million beings in sustainable underground cities. We're not conquering these planets, Admiral. We're making them into lifeboats. On the screen, more human ships emerged from the depths. But now, the commanders could see they weren't just ships. They were massive construction platforms, mining equipment beyond anything the galactic civilization had imagined. How long have you been doing this? Thex asked quietly. Since the day we left galactic politics, Volkov answered. We knew this threat was coming. We knew the galactic community wouldn't believe us. So we decided to prepare sanctuary for everyone, whether they wanted it or not. Admiral Kextor stared at the display showing human engineering on a scale that dwarfed galactic achievements. Why didn't you tell us what you were really doing? Dr. Okoye tried to tell you 2 weeks ago. Your council laughed at her. The communication fell silent. On the screen, the human ships continued their work, transforming an entire planet into something the galaxy had never seen before. 72 hours, Commander Volkov said finally. After that, we can't guarantee the surface will remain stable during deep construction. Anyone who wants to see what we're building is welcome to return then. The communication ended, leaving 3 of the galaxy's top military commanders staring at evidence that everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. Contact the Council, Admiral Kextor said quietly. Emergency session. And find Dr. Okoye. I think it's time we listen to what she has to say. 20 light-years away, more human ships emerged from the ground of another world, beginning the same impossible transformation. The galaxy was about to discover that humans had never been forgotten. They had been preparing. Ambassador Zethkari stood at the edge of the massive hole in the ground, his reptilian eyes trying to comprehend what he was seeing. The shaft went down for kilometers. Perfectly smooth walls disappearing into glowing depths. The air smelled of ozone and hot metal, and vibrations came up from below like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. "This is impossible," he muttered, his scales rippling with disbelief. Captain Jin Sato smiled politely beside him. The human officer was small compared to Zethkari, but something about his calm confidence made the ambassador feel oddly nervous. "Impossible is just another engineering problem," Jin said. "My people have had 300 years to solve a lot of impossible problems." They rode the transport platform down into the depths. The walls flashed past, smooth as glass, carved from solid rock with precision that made galactic technology look primitive. Emergency lights lined the shaft, but they weren't needed. The walls themselves glowed with a soft, warm light. "How deep does this go?" Zethkari asked. "This shaft goes down 12 kilometers, Jin replied. The platform finally stopped, and Zethkari stepped out into something that changed everything he thought he knew about humans. He was standing in a city that belonged in dreams. Vast spaces opened up around him, carved from living rock but shaped into flowing, organic curves that breathed with life. Gardens hung from ceiling structures kilometers above his head. Water cascaded down the walls in controlled waterfalls that fed into streams running through wide walkways. Thousands of humans moved through the spaces, but they weren't alone. Zethkari saw Delphani swimming in crystal-clear pools, integrated into the architecture. Avian species nested in the high cliff dwellings carved into the walls. Small reptilian beings that looked like his own people's children played in the gardens. "Are those?" he began. "Refugees from the border conflicts," Jin explained. "We've been taking in displaced populations for decades. Turns out underground cities are perfect for species that need different atmospheric conditions. We can customize each section." They walked through the main thoroughfare. The ceiling above them was transparent, showing the levels upon levels of city, stretching both up and down. Transportation tubes carried people and goods between levels with silent efficiency. "How many people live here?" Zethkari asked. "Currently about 8 million, Jin said casually. "But this city can hold 50 million comfortably. We built it for the refugees who'll come when the real threat arrives." Commander Elena Volkov met them at the Central Administrative Complex. Her engineering uniform was practical and clean, and her dark hair was streaked with gray. She moved with the confidence of someone who had built impossible things and made them work. "Ambassador Zethkari," she greeted him. "Welcome to New Geneva. I understand you have questions about our operations." "I have thousands of questions," Zethkari replied. "But let me start with this. Why are you doing this? Why build cities for aliens who called you primitive?" Elena's expression softened slightly. "Because, when the devourers arrive, it won't matter what anyone called us. What will matter is whether we saved as many lives as possible. Devourers? That's what we call them. Machine intelligences from outside our galaxy. They don't negotiate. They don't communicate. They don't leave survivors. They strip planets down to the core and use the materials to build more of themselves." She led them to a command center carved into the heart of the mountain. Holographic displays showed star charts, energy readings, and construction timelines that spanned decades. "We've been tracking them for 300 years, Elena continued. "Ever since our deep space exploration ships detected them consuming the Magellanic Clouds. They move slowly, but they're thorough. Every world they touch becomes a dead rock." Zethkari studied the displays. The scale of human preparation was overwhelming. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of underground cities, millions of refugees already being sheltered. Why didn't you tell the galactic community what you were really doing? We tried, Jin said. Multiple times. But every time we mentioned planet-eating machines from outside the galaxy, we were told we were being paranoid. Primitive, death world thinking. So you decided to save everyone anyway, Zethkari said slowly. That's the human way, Elena replied. When someone's in danger, you help them. Even if they don't believe they're in danger. Even if they've been rude to you. An alert chimed through the command center. A technician called out. Commander, we're getting priority signals from the Zirion 7 construction site. Elder Grixmal wants to speak with you. The holographic display shifted to show an alien being Zethkari didn't recognize. The creature looked like a cross between a bear and a tree, with bark-like skin and small, intelligent eyes. Commander Volkov, the being said. My people have made our decision. We want to join the Human Alliance. Officially. Elena nodded respectfully. We're honored by your trust. Elder Grixmal. Are your people ready for the deep city integration? More than ready. After seeing what you've built for the Delphani refugees, after seeing how you've made space for everyone's needs. We want to be part of this. We want to help build sanctuary for others. Zethkari's head spun. Wait. You mean native species are choosing to ally with humans over their own governments? Elder Grixmal's eyes focused on him. Young ambassador, our government told us humans were invaders. But these humans came to our world and built us beautiful underground cities. They gave us clean water, clean air, and safety for our children. They asked for nothing in return, except permission to help others. The galactic government promised us protection, the elder continued. But when the border raiders came, where were the galactic fleets? The humans stopped the raiders. The humans sheltered our families. The humans kept their promises. The communication ended, leaving silence in the command center. Zethkari looked around at the human faces watching him. No arrogance, no triumph. Just quiet determination to keep building, keep preparing, keep saving lives. How many worlds have you modified? He asked quietly. 237 so far, Elena replied. With approximately 400 more in various stages of construction. Each one can shelter 50 to 100 million beings, depending on their physiological needs. And you're doing this for species that ridiculed you. We're doing this because it's right, Jin said simply. Because when the Devourers come, the only thing that will matter is whether we're ready to protect each other. Zethkari felt something shift in his chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced in centuries of diplomacy. Shame, mixed with overwhelming gratitude. What do you need from the Galactic Council? He asked. Elena smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from any human. Time, mostly, and permission to keep building. We have 48 years left to finish the sanctuary network. And after that, Ambassador, we all work together to make sure our galaxy survives what's coming. Above them, far overhead, the surface world continued its normal life. But below ground, humans and aliens worked side by side, building the future that would save them all. The galaxy was finally beginning to understand what humans had been preparing for, and why they'd never really been forgotten at all. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was nothing like the peaceful meetings of before. Alarm signals blared across Kepler Station as reports flooded in from the outer rim. Admiral Sarah Chen's image dominated the main display, her human face grim with urgent purpose. They're here, she announced without ceremony. The Devourer fleet has entered our galaxy. Ambassador Zethkari felt his blood turn cold. Around the emergency chamber, Representatives from dozens of species stared at the tactical displays in growing horror. The enemy ships were massive. Each one was the size of a small moon, made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They moved in perfect formation through space, ignoring all attempts at communication. "How many?" Commander Thex asked, his mandibles clicking rapidly with stress. "The lead scout group numbers 47 vessels," Admiral Chen replied. "Our deep space sensors detect approximately 800 more ships 1 month behind them." Minister Yuldena's crystalline form flickered with panic. 800? Our entire galactic fleet only has 200 ships of the line. "Your fleet won't be fighting alone," Admiral Chen said calmly. "But we need to implement emergency evacuation protocols immediately. The border worlds have perhaps 3 weeks before the Devourers arrive." On the display, the alien ships moved toward the first inhabited system in their path, planet Keras 3, home to 12 million Stellaris birds and their magnificent floating cities. "We need to mount a defense," declared Admiral Kextor from his command tank. "Show them that this galaxy won't go quietly." "Admiral, with respect, your ships won't last 5 minutes against Devourer technology," Admiral Chen said bluntly. "We've been preparing for this fight for 3 centuries. Trust our experience." The display changed to show a battle scene from long ago. Human ships fought against the Devourer scouts in the void between galaxies. The human vessels were fast, maneuverable, but seemed hopelessly outgunned. "This was our first encounter with them," Admiral Chen explained. 280 years ago. We lost that battle, but we learned something important. The display showed the Devourers landing on a planet and beginning their consumption process. Massive drilling platforms descended from their ships, tearing into the planet's crust. Within hours, the beautiful world was being stripped down to its core. "They only work from the surface down," Admiral Chen continued. "They can't detect or fight what's hidden deep underground." Captain Kim Tae-jun's voice crackled through from his scout ship near the advancing Devourer fleet. "Admiral Chen, I'm sending you the latest sensor readings. They're definitely heading for Keras 3, just like the projections predicted." Zethkari leaned forward. "What about the Stellaris population? Can they be evacuated in time?" "Already in progress," Admiral Chen replied. "Captain Kim, show them the Keras 3 situation." The display shifted to show the bird world of Keras 3. But instead of panic and chaos, the scene was one of organized efficiency. Massive human transport ships hovered near the planet's surface, while streams of Stellaris birds flew toward them in perfect formation. "The Stellaris leadership accepted our evacuation offer 6 months ago," Captain Kim explained. "They're being relocated to the underground cities on Zirion 7 and New Geneva." Commander Thex stared at the display. "They're evacuating an entire species in a matter of days? We've been planning these evacuations for decades," Admiral Chen said. "Every species, every world, every possible scenario. The Stellaris will be safe in the deep cities within 48 hours. "What about their floating cities?" Yuldena asked. "Those are cultural treasures, thousands of years old." Admiral Kim's image appeared on screen. "Watch this." The display zoomed in on one of the Stellaris floating cities. Instead of being abandoned, it was being carefully dismantled by combined human and Stellaris teams. The beautiful structures were being taken apart, piece by piece, and loaded onto massive human cargo ships. "We're not just saving the people," Kim explained. "We're saving their culture, their art, their history. Everything that makes them who they are will be rebuilt in the underground cities." Zethkari felt something twist in his chest. "You're saving their entire civilization." "That's the point," Admiral Chen said simply. "Survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about preserving what makes life worth living." The display changed again, showing the approaching Devourer fleet. The dark ships had reached the edge of the Keras system and were beginning to spread out in attack formation. "Admiral Chen," came an urgent voice from the communication array. This is General Marcus Rodriguez, at Deep Command. All evacuation ships are clear of Keras 3. The planet is ready for Phase 2. Quoted. Acknowledged, General. Captain Kim, pull your scouts back to safe distance. All galactic representatives, prepare to see something no one outside humanity has witnessed before. The display focused on Keras 3. From space, the planet looked empty and abandoned. The Devourer ships approached, their massive drilling platforms deploying as they prepared to consume another world. Then something impossible happened. The planet started to move. What? Zeth-Kari breathed. Keras 3 wasn't just a planet anymore. It was a ship, a planetary ship. The entire world began to accelerate away from the approaching Devourers, leaving trails of energy in space as massive engines built deep in the planet's core pushed it toward safety. 30 years of deep core engineering, Admiral Chen explained as the Council watched in stunned silence. Every planet we've modified can do this. When the surface becomes unsafe, the planet itself becomes a refugee ship. More alerts came through the communication system. Reports from across the outer rim as other planets began moving away from the advancing Devourer fleet. Entire worlds, carefully guided by human engineering, fleeing to safety while their populations lived safely in deep underground cities. This is impossible, Minister Yuldena whispered. Planets can't just move. They can if you build the engines deep enough and plan the structural modifications carefully enough, Admiral Chen replied. It's just a matter of engineering and 300 years of preparation. Commander Thex's 4 arms gestured frantically at the displays. How many planets can do this? All of them, General Rodriguez's voice answered from the communication array. Every world we've modified for the past 3 centuries. 237 planets, each one now mobile. Each one carrying millions of refugees from dozens of species. The Devourer ships reached empty space where Keras 3 had been. Their sensors swept the area, finding nothing. The enemy fleet began spreading out, searching for their vanished prey. They'll follow the energy trails, Admiral Chen said, which is exactly what we want them to do. You want them to follow? Zeth-Kari asked. Admiral Chen smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't a gentle or reassuring expression. Ambassador, for 300 years, we've been preparing for this moment. We've built not just sanctuary cities and mobile planets. We've built the largest fleet in galactic history. The display showed deep space near the Sol system. What had appeared to be empty void suddenly erupted with light as thousands of human ships dropped their stealth systems. The fleet stretched across light years of space, more ships than the entire galactic civilization had ever built. We're not running away, Admiral Chen said quietly. We're leading them into the trap. The galaxy was about to discover that humans hadn't just been preparing to survive. They'd been preparing to win. General Marcus Rodriguez stood in the command center, buried 20 kilometers beneath Earth's surface, watching displays that showed the greatest battle in galactic history. Around him, officers from dozens of species worked side by side, their voices calm, despite the magnitude of what was happening above them. All mobile planets report ready, announced Commander Elena Volkov from her engineering station. 237 worlds, armed and positioned. Ambassador Zeth-Kari could barely believe what he was seeing from his position at the Allied command post. Planets moved through space like massive warships, their deep core engines pushing them into battle formation. Each world bristled with weapons platforms that had been hidden in the underground cities for centuries. How? He asked General Rodriguez. How did you build all this, without anyone knowing? The general's weathered face was calm as he watched the tactical displays. 300 years of everyone thinking we were primitive gave us a lot of privacy to work. When you're dismissed as irrelevant, people stop watching what you're doing. On the main display, the Devourer fleet had taken the bait. 800 massive alien ships were pursuing the mobile planets toward the Sol system, exactly as the humans had planned. The dark vessels moved in perfect formation, their weapons charging for what they thought would be an easy hunt. Phase 1 complete, reported Captain Kim Tae-jun from his position with the scout fleet. Enemy fleet committed to pursuit course. All Devourer ships are now in the engagement zone. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice came through the communication array from the flagship humanity had hidden in Saturn's rings. All units, prepare for planetary battery release. Ambassador Zeth Kari watched in amazement as the mobile planets suddenly stopped their retreat and turned to face their pursuers. What had looked like fleeing worlds revealed themselves to be the most powerful fortresses ever constructed. You turned entire planets into weapons platforms, he breathed. We turned them into protectors, General Rodriguez corrected. There's a difference. The first salvo from the planetary batteries lit up space like a new sun. Weapons that had been hidden in mountain ranges and ocean floors fired in perfect coordination. The energy beams were unlike anything in the galactic arsenal, powered by the planet's own cores and focused through crystalline systems grown over centuries. The Devourer ships returned fire, their dark weapons striking the planetary shields. But the shields held, powered by the same deep core systems that allowed the worlds to move through space. Surface population status? General Rodriguez asked. All civilian populations secure in deep cities, Elena reported. Shield coverage, protecting underground areas at 98% efficiency. Surface damage, minimal. And the Devourers? First wave taking heavy damage, Admiral Chen reported. But they're adapting faster than projected. We need Phase 2. General Rodriguez nodded and opened a communication channel to the Galactic Allied Fleet. Admiral Kextor, your ships are cleared for engagement. Acknowledged, General. All galactic forces. Attack pattern Delta. Protect the mobile planets. The traditional galactic fleet swept in from the flanks. Their ships small, compared to the Devourers, but fast and coordinated. They had spent the last month training with human tactical advisors, learning new strategies that combined galactic speed with human defensive planning. Commander Thex's voice crackled through from his command ship. Target their sensor arrays. Leave them blind for the planetary weapons. The battle raged across the Sol system. But it was unlike any conflict in galactic history. Instead of conquest and destruction, it was coordination and protection. Human planetary batteries provided covering fire for galactic ships. Galactic vessels drew enemy fire away from populated planets. Species that had been enemies for centuries fought side by side to protect the underground cities holding millions of refugees. Devourer command ship is breaking through the outer defensive line, Captain Kim reported urgently. Which planet is it targeting? General Rodriguez asked. New Geneva. 8 million people in the deep cities. Ambassador Zeth Kari felt his heart stop. New Geneva was where he had seen the impossible city, where humans and aliens lived together in the beautiful underground spaces. Elena, can New Geneva's defenses hold against a direct assault? Elena's fingers flew across her control systems. Negative. Command ship weapons are too powerful for individual planetary shields. Then we do this the human way, General Rodriguez said quietly. He opened a channel to all human forces. All mobile planets. Emergency Protocol 7. Protect New Geneva. Zeth Kari watched in awe as the other mobile planets moved. Not away from the danger, but toward it. 236 worlds positioned themselves between the Devourer command ship and New Geneva, creating a wall of planets that no weapon could penetrate. You're using entire worlds as shields, he whispered. We're using entire worlds to protect our families, General Rodriguez replied. Every person in those deep cities, human or alien, is family now. General Rodriguez. Armin. Every person. The Devourer command ship fired its main weapon, a beam of dark energy that could crack a planet's crust. But instead of striking New Geneva, it hit the defensive wall of mobile worlds. The combined planetary shields absorbed the impact and redirected it back at the enemy ship. Direct hit on Devourer command vessel, Admiral Chen reported. Hull. Breach detected. They're pulling back. The enemy fleet began to retreat, but the humans weren't finished. The mobile planets pursued, their weapons firing in perfect coordination. Within hours, the massive Devourer ships were either destroyed or fleeing back to the void between galaxies. Enemy fleet routed, Captain Kim announced. Sol system secured. The command center erupted in cheers from dozens of species. But General Rodriguez remained focused on his displays. Casualty report? Minimal, Elena announced with obvious relief. Surface damage to 17 planets, but all deep cities remain intact. Total civilian casualties? 0. Ambassador Zeth Kari stared at the tactical display showing the aftermath of the greatest battle in galactic history. Hundreds of alien ships celebrating alongside mobile planets. Refugee populations safe in their underground cities. An entire galaxy, protected by the species they had called primitive. General, he said quietly, my government owes you an apology. General Rodriguez turned to him, his expression kind but serious. Ambassador, your government owes us nothing. This was never about proving anything to anyone. This was about protecting everyone. But we were so wrong about humanity. You were wrong about our methods, the general replied. But you were right about our nature. Humans are aggressive. We're just aggressive about protecting people. The communication arrays came alive with messages from across the galaxy. Species after species offering formal alliance with humanity. Worlds requesting human engineering teams to build their own deep cities. The Stellaris birds singing songs of gratitude for saving their culture along with their lives. What happens now? Zeth Kari asked. Elena looked up from her engineering displays. Now we keep building. There are millions of worlds in this galaxy, and we've only protected a few hundred. We have work to do. And the galactic government? General Rodriguez smiled. Ambassador, there is no galactic government anymore. There's just a galactic family, and families take care of each other. 6 months later, Ambassador Zeth Kari stood in the rebuilt council chambers on Kepler Station. The new chambers were larger, built with human engineering to accommodate species of all sizes and environmental needs. The council itself was different too, with humans and aliens serving as equals in a government dedicated to mutual protection rather than trade disputes. Dr. Nala Okoye sat in the chair reserved for the Human Protection Coordinator. Her simple clothes unchanged despite her new position as one of the most important leaders in galactic history. The Sanctuary Network now includes 412 worlds, she reported to the assembled council. Current refugee population stands at 2 billion beings from 87 different species. And the Devourer threat? Asked Elder Grixmal, who now represented the allied underground cities. Our long-range sensors show no further Devourer activity in nearby galaxies, Dr. Okoye replied. But we'll keep watching. And we'll keep building. Zeth Kari raised his hand to speak. Dr. Okoye, I have a question that's been troubling me. Why did humans agree to lead this new galactic alliance? After everything that was said about your species? Dr. Okoye smiled the same patient smile she had worn in this chamber all those months ago when nobody would listen to her warnings. Ambassador, she said, when someone needs help, you help them. It doesn't matter what they said about you before. It doesn't matter if they think you're primitive or forgotten. What matters is that when their world shakes, you're there to steady it. The council chamber fell silent as the representatives absorbed the simple truth of those words. Outside the station, mobile planets moved through space carrying their precious cargo of underground cities. The galaxy had learned that being forgotten wasn't always a weakness. Sometimes it was the greatest strength of all.